Okay, today we're going to talk about the rope halter and using a rope halter correctly. Oh, this is your standard web halter, and it's a breakaway halter. It's nice and flat, however, it does not have any leverage. And so in this case, we're actually going to move to something a little different. We're moving to a rope halter. All right, so here's the problem. Right now, Moon Dancer is not paying attention to the halter. Now go ahead and try to change direction with her. She's putting her nose to the outside and she's not bringing her nose into the inside. See right there, she's fighting and she's struggling with it. Now even if you are in the correct body position, she has just decided today is not her day to really listen to the halter. So like right now, he should be able to put his butt to the fence, change direction, and move her out. But you see, instead of moving out, she just came straight to him. So we've got to fix this. Push her off of you. Push her off. Come on. There you go. Move her off. And we're going to try it with something a little bit different. Okay, now we've moved on to using a rope halter. Now the big difference in a rope halter is, remember, the smaller the diameter, the more the pressure. And you also have knots. Now the knots are actually lining up with places on either side of the bridge of the nose. Hold still, hold still, hold still. And over on the side. So when you put pressure on that, it's going to change things. Now we've made sure that it is attached below the knot over here, and this one fits rather snugly. Okay, the big difference is, remember, the smaller, the more pressure. And this hits right here on the bridge of the nose and right by the sinuses. So you have a lot more pressure at your disposal. Now, if you have a horse that's really pulling away, this is one of those instances where I say, yes, using a rope halter. If you're having a horse that's very disrespectful on the halter, that's probably somebody else's fault later on down the line. But the rope halter does improve things. Now, remember, when you put pressure on that, that is going to isolate the pressure right here on the bridge of the nose and right here on the sinuses. So when you add just a little bit, you can see she's pulling away, pulling away, pulling away. And now I want her to just give to it. Give to the pressure. There you go. So as soon as she gives to that pressure, she has to understand that it's going to feel a little bit different. Now, I'm also going to ask her to give her nose to it, because remember, using this, I'm going from the bottom. Ooh. So I got to get a nice flex. There you go. So now she's learning that flex. And again, I'm staying up here. I'm in the safe zone. Ooh, ooh. And there we go. So now she's learning that's that flex. So she's listening to that rope halter. That's a different halter than what she's had before. Ooh. And I want her to be able to stand. Ooh. As long as she's not standing, she's not listening very good. There. That's when the understanding started. Now she started to understand that that's what I want. Ooh. There. Good. So I'm going to go back and forth to the other side. Now this other side is where she's had some issues. So again, I'm going to put everything up here on the saddle. I'm going to get into that safe spot where I'm right in the center. And I'm going to ask her to flex. Ooh. Remember, this is your emergency stop. When the horse has their head flexed like this, they should not be able to move forward. And when you're using a rope halter, that pressure is going to be a little different. Ooh. And so you want to do it really until you don't get any movement and you get an A. So we're going to sit here and do this for a few minutes until she finally calms down. Ooh. Okay, you may have to do this process for a while, but what you want is the horse to just stand there completely and just give with just thumb and forefinger amount of pressure. And as soon as they give, just release. So you want to be able to do this on both sides before you know you've got the horse really nice and soft. So the first thing you're going to do is flex the horse's head and the neck. Okay. Because we're adding different pressures, we want the horse to understand different pressures to get the horse to back up. Now, the one thing you want to do is make sure your feet are pointing the direction you want your horse to back. So back up first is nice low head. You're going to aim for the horse's chest and ask them to back. So she did that really well. We'll walk forward. Remember, you're not going to get close to the buckle. So like right there, she moved. So I moved to the opposite side. Ooh. Get her nice and soft. Now we're going to ask for the back. See how she's giving her head? That's good. Back, back, back. So that is the basic low back. All right. So your horse backs with the normal back. Now let's back with the wiggle. Now the wiggle back helps you to move the horse backwards out of your space and get them on the line so you can lunge them. So you want it nice and loose, and you want a side-to-side motion until they take a step back. So back, good. Back. Now she moves sideways. So that's not what I wanted. So I'm going to come back to the beginning. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Now I've got to control the back. So the back is going to be a wiggle and step. Good. Release the pressure. Wiggle, wiggle. She stepped, release the pressure. Wiggle, and now I can push her the direction I want to. So she backed out of my space by using the wiggle. Now I've got to bring her in. So head down, reel her in. Now her out the other direction. So I've got to get on this opposite side of her. That's where she's not liking it. And push her out. So that wiggle motion also makes her push out of the center of the circle. So once they've learned that, that works out really well. Now, this is the direction she'll get to when she decides she gets over to this corner and she sees her little friend. Sometimes she wants to throw her head and do that. Now, with the rope halter, because I have a whole lot more pressure, I can pull her head in, and just with a minor little adjustment, I can, see that rope move? Just a little pull, little pull. So I got her attention. So all of a sudden, she knows that she's not going to pull that nose over there because I can basically get a little bit more action on her. Now, to stop, whoa, head down, bring her on in. That's good. So she's listening a whole lot better. And the rope halter is something that I wouldn't recommend if you are a beginner. It takes timing and it takes feel to be really good at it, because I've seen a lot of people really mess up horses. Number one, if you tie it wrong and they pull back, it tightens even further. And it can cause really big gouges in your horse if you pull too hard. So learning that use of pressure is really helpful, but having it as a tool in your arsenal is also just as helpful. Thank you so much for joining us on today's exercises. And if you enjoyed our lesson, please give us a like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. And remember, to see more, check out our playlists.